Hey guys, it's Kim, Angel Dream Crafts, and I'm back with another project share for the craft supplies for you. And but before I get to my project, I just wanted to show you a little bit of what I've been doing. I've done a bit more dyeing, and this time I used the Dylon Blue China, and it's just a beautiful color. And I got lots of different shades. This is cheesecloth, and you can see how dark that came out. That came out fairly dark against some bridal trim, which is just absolutely beautiful. I love how that came out. This is a doily that I dyed from Julie's store. Took the dye, just absolutely beautiful, nice and even color. Some trims that I dyed. They came out really, really nice. And you can even see there is a slight varying tone depending on the lace. Some of it's lighter, some of it's darker. This is some vintage eyelet from my stash that I dyed, and it's much lighter than that eyelet. Well, you can't really see it, but there's that. I hope you can see it anyway. But it just came out so, so beautiful. There's some eyelet. More bridal trim. Just absolutely beautiful. It picked up the threads really, really nicely. And then this is part of a blanket that I had purchased on eBay a little while ago, and it's all white. These are all white, and I dyed them, and they came out this beautiful blue color. So I'm really, really happy with these, and you'll see quite a few of these in my project that I'm about to show you. So that's what I wanted to show you first. So that's the China Blue. I am doing more dyeing, and I will be showing you that as well when I get to it. So now on to my project, and of course you know what my favorite thing in the world is to make, and that is fabric books. So I made another fabric book, but I couldn't help. Let me zoom back out again. Probably get this in a little better. There we go. I hope you can see that. This is another fabric book, and I used tons of things from Craft Supplies for You. And I also did a bunch of tea dyeing of some of the laces. Some of them were already this color, and the ones that weren't, I tea dyed to get them that color because I just wanted to keep it mostly with the creams. There's a bit of off-white, but mostly I just wanted to keep it with the tea dye creamy color and the blue. And you can see all the gorgeous dangles and laces I used there. So, so pretty. So let's get started, and of course you can see this beautiful lady at the top. Let me see how I can get this in shot better. There we go. So I used this beautiful image of this lady for my focal piece on the front, and I did stuff all of my images with a bit of quilt batting. And the base of the book is actually a couple of linen sort of tea towels that I had in my stash, and they have a bit of Battenberg trim at the bottom. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you can just see a little tiny bit of it peeking out there at the bottom, right there. So I used that for the base, and I folded two of them, and then I sewed the spine just down two sides there, and that created the book. It was really simple to do. I did put some felt in between to make it nice and sturdy. So after I selected my images, I started to embellish, of course, with all of my beautiful dyed laces and trims from Julie's store. This gimp is white. I think she sold out of it, unfortunately, and I'm hoping she'll get more back in because it's my favorite gimp of all time. And I used some gathered lace from her store that I tea dyed, and lots of different, this trim here was originally white, and it took the dye just beautifully from Julie's store. Love that trim. And this one was from my stash. These flowers are from my stash, and I did put them in the blue dye, and it's just barely picked it up. They don't really dye all that well. I don't know why, because I have tea dyed these and they do pick up the tea, but for some reason they did not pick up the fabric dye, and I don't know why that is. But and I added some of the cheesecloth that I dyed just in between to make the flower a bit more poofy. And then over here I've used some of those little flowers from that blanket that you can see. And then a piece of trim from Julie's store that I tea dyed, and more cheesecloth, bling of course from Julie's store. This one's from my stash, however. And more lace from Julie's store that has flowers in it. And where did I put that one? Let's see if I can just get my hand on it here. Yep. And I actually have used this one a fair bit. It's like an off-white color, but I cut mine to take the flowers out of it, and then I used the edging piece around one of my photos. So you'll see that on the inside of the book. But that's what a lot of the flowers are this lace here from Julie's store that I've cut up. And of course I added bridal trim that you can see up here, and then over here as well behind the flower. I've added some clay flowers from my stash and these little cute little resin stars. This trim up here at the top, Maggie White sent me. Thank you, Maggie. And then I just added some more trim from my stash, beaded trim from my stash. And on the side, this beautiful trim here is from Julie's store. And I did put it in the dye. It's originally white, but it didn't pick up a lot of the color, but it is like a very, very pale baby blue color. So that's what I did, just kept it simple for the spine. So that is the cover, and you can see there's lots of beautiful laces here as well. There you can see a good shot of it. Lots of dangles. Now the first page is a pocket page. And let's see if I can just move my camera a little bit. Maybe that will help. Maybe if I zoom in a little tiny bit. There. So this one, I have made a pocket page. There. And I used one of my Battenberg doilies that I got a while ago. And I dyed that as well. So I've got a really nice deep pocket here for lots of goodies. And starting down here, I used this beautiful fringe trim from Julie's store as one of the laces here. And then I also used this trim as well from Julie's store, Craft Supplies for You. And then I edged it with this trim from my stash, and then some eyelet from Craft Supplies for You, which I dyed. And then this trim was from, Maggie. And then this trim is tea dyed, this little tiny one from Craft Supplies for You. And then here I built up some doilies and some of those flowers that I just showed you, and some bling from my stash, and this trim here is from my stash. And then here I used a piece of some lace that you'll see later on in the book, and I just cut one of the roses out and stacked it up, and then I added some more bridal trim to the top. So that's what I did there. So that's essentially that page. And then moving on to this page here, I'm going to try to go sort of fast because there is so much to look at. I've used this beautiful trim from Julie's store that she is trying to get back in stock. This, we call it the peacock lace, because it has 2 rows of these beautiful sort of peacock looking feathers on them, and she is trying to get this back in stock. Like I said, this was originally white, as was this little fringe trim here. I tea dyed this one. This one is also from Craft Supplies for You, which I tea dyed. And that's the 3 laces that are there. This piece here is some bridal trim from Julie's store, and this beautiful image of this lady, and I made a few hand-rolled flowers that I put here, And then at the top, I've used this beautiful cameo from my stash, and I just put some sort of fabric in there that picked up on the color tones. And I used a bit of beaded lace from my stash, and I added a couple of the blue clay flowers in there. It's a vintage doily behind there, and this trim from my stash. And then I've added some antique trim here at the side, just to sort of finish off that page. And now this is the middle of the book, so there's 2 pages, and they're fairly similar. Well, actually, they're almost exact. So what I did here was I used this beautiful dangle trim here from Julie's store. And hopefully you can see it. I'm not sure if she has this one in stock anymore, but I did tea dye that one. And then this one here, again, you need to check if she's got it in stock because her laces just fly out of the store so quickly, but you can see how beautiful that is. And I know she's searching for this one. So to get more in, I'm not sure if it's sold out or not. And this was originally white, and it just took the dye so, so beautifully. I just absolutely love this trim. And I did show this trim, I think. If I didn't, then I know Maggie White did in her DT video. So you could check that out on Maggie White's channel. And then I used some bridal trim that I used the other dye I had, which was the Pebble Beige that I talked about in a previous video. And I dyed this bridal trim, and then I added 2 little cameos. I added more of that same fringe trim here, and these little flowers on both pages are from Craft Supplies for You with the pearl centers. And of course some of the blue dyed bridal trim. This collar piece was from my stash, as was this flower, and I added just a few little flowers of beaded trim that I had in my stash. And this lace here was also from my stash, I believe. And then at the top here, I've used 2 more of Julie's laces. This one here, it's got like a loopy chain effect going across, so I love that. And then I've used this blue cotton trim that I showed at the beginning that I had dyed, and they're both going right across. So that is my middle section. And then here, the second to last page, this is a fun page. I've used more dangle trim from Julie's store, and then this beautiful huge bridal applique I did put in the dye, and it did pick up some of the color. So I thought, why not? I've added the whole entire piece to the corner. I just love how it came out. It's so, so pretty and just so elegant looking. I love it. And so I added that to the corner. And this trim here is also from Craft Supplies for You that I did here. And then this one underneath it, I think you can kind of see it better there. That's also from Julie's store. I added more bridal trim up here that I had dyed previously with the Pebble Beige. And then you can see here more of the flowers that I used from that trim. And then this is the edge of the flower trim that I ran down here. And the eyelash trim is also from Craft Supplies for You, and the bling, and I tea dyed that. This is some eyelet from my stash that I dyed, and of course the beautiful lady and some edging trim from my stash. So that's basically that page, and I'm gonna have photos at the end because these are so hard to get in shot and film. It's very difficult. And then the last page is another pocket page, as you can see here. I used another of the big Battenberg doilies, and I folded the top down a bit, so I've got a nice big deep pocket here as well. And I used 2 more of the flowers from that blanket on either end. And then here I stacked up quite a few doilies, and this is some vintage tatting here, which I just love. On this doily, and then some doilies from Craft Supplies for You, and I just stacked them all up, and again dyed some. The square bling is from Craft Supplies for You. I added some cheesecloth, and cheesecloth behind these little flowers too, and then some trim going across here as well. And down at the bottom, I've got some more dangles from Craft Supplies for You, eyelash trim from KS4U, and then another piece of the peacock lace there. And I've got some dangles. The dangles go all the way around the shape of the doily there. And then this is some vintage doilies from my stash as well as that. And just a few little clay flowers for embellishment. Whoops. And then the back page here, I stacked up quite a few doilies as well right here in the same colors, some more bridal trim, and then more dangle trim here. You can see it. And this was a little doily piece from my stash that I put in the die. And then some more bridal trim up here, another little beaded piece there. But yeah, just overall, you know, I made it nice and lush and very, very pretty and blingy, and I just absolutely love the colors and I love the way it came out. So I hope that, let's see if I can move the camera up just a little bit. There we go. I hope that you like it, and again, stay tuned for photos at the end, because I know it is hard to see when you're filming these things, but they're just so much fun to make. I just love them. So let me know what you think, and please like, share, and subscribe if you wish. And if you have any questions, just ask. Thanks, guys. I hope you're all having a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.